Welcome to the FlipTech East Coast Podcast, a podcast designed to introduce you to the teacher presenters at this year's conference. This year's conference is hosted by Collingswood High School and is being held on June 29th and 30th. In this episode, we bring to you Lindsay Stephenson. She's a session speaker speaking about fast and effective digital feedback. She's coming in all the way from Kansas City. If you're interested in hearing from Lindsay or any of our teacher presenters, please visit fliptech.fliplearning.org to register. Again, that's fliptech.fliplearning.org. And we pick it up now with Lindsay.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of FlipTech East Coast Podcast, a podcast where we introduce you, the audience, to our presenters. And today we have Lindsay Stephenson, who is presenting on fast and effective digital feedback at FlipTech East Coast. How's life in Kansas?
Kansas is good. Yep, life here is good. Starting spring, so...
I wish we could say the same thing. We just got a foot of snow 2 days ago. So you are presenting at this conference, but before we get into your presentation, tell us a little about yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
I'm Lindsay Stephenson, and I was an English teacher. I taught special ed for a year, and then I'm an English teacher. I was an English teacher for 11 years. And now I am an instructional facilitator, 6 through 12. I work with all content areas. I design professional development and coach and mentor teachers and model strategies and just kind of support teachers in that way. So that's what I'm doing now.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. I've always wanted to get into instructional coaching. You call it a facilitator. Our district, we have a couple of coaches.
It's facilitator because it includes then they can tag on curriculum.
Gotcha.
Curriculum.
So is it an administrative role?
It is not. It is a teacher contract plus extended days. But yeah, so I do curriculum writing and book adoptions for textbook adoptions and all that stuff.
That's nice. That's good. And you're a flipped learning advocate. And how long before you went into the facilitating role were you a flipped teacher?
About 4 years, I guess 4 years in the classroom. And I taught 10th grade English. We were not one-to-one, so I got super creative and planned way out to get computers and use what we needed to use to finish our lessons. But yeah, so I was one of the first ones in my district to do flipped learning, and definitely the first one in my building.
Is there any other people in the building that ended up flipping with you, or
there were several science and math teachers? Yes, no English teachers jumped on my plane, but social studies and a couple other buildings. So yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. It's, too many teachers say they are flipping all alone, in their own building. But it's nice to hear that there's a small group of you in that school.
Yeah.
Well, I think I know the answer to this, but I'm still going to ask it for our audience. And so, have you ever presented at a conference before?
I have.
Yes.
I have. This year has been a busy year of presenting, actually. Mm-hmm. So this would probably be my busiest year of presenting because it was a lot. But yes, I have. I presented at things specific to my content for the Conference on English Leadership and then the Mid-America Computers and Education Conference. And then I'm a Google trainer, so I also do Google Summits. I do a Kansas Google Trainer Summit at least once or twice a year. Wow.
What keeps you wanting to continue to present all over the place?
I guess because it's fun. I enjoy working with teachers in that manner, which is what took me to the facilitator role in the first place. And now I think because I'm presenting full-time as a job a lot of the times, and then I'm presenting for fun on the outside, I feel like at the conferences I always get eager participants, people who are really excited to learn something new. I'm not trying to convince them of it. So I think that's why I enjoy the conference setting for sure.
You said you were at the conference on English leadership. So mm-hmm. Did you catch up with Kate Baker? And
I did.
Yeah, yes. She's also a presenter, at this.
I know, we've talked.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've chatted. Yes, we're on Voxer. We Vox regularly. So.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, she's a buddy of mine. So yes, in fact, I met her. I don't even know how many years ago now, but in Michigan at one of the flipped.
At the 2014 FlipCon, the big one, right?
Yes.
It had 8,000 people.
Yes, we were digital friends, and that was the first time we actually met in person, so it was exciting. So yes, I did. So yes, I saw her. They call it Cell. So I saw her at Cell, and we hung out and got to catch up and have dinner and see the arch and do all that stuff.
You may have actually met one of my co-organizers there too, Brian Kulak, who met Kate at this conference. I did.
Yeah, he was. Yes, I believe I did. Oh, wait a minute. What did he present? I think I saw his presentation.
Flash lessons.
Yep. Yeah. I did. We've actually talked on. We have talked on Twitter as well. So. Yeah,
it's funny how the circle is. Here we all are, right?
Yeah.
Trying to keep going here. Well, however much I would love to continue talking to you about all the people you know and all the places you've presented, let's get into the nuts and bolts of this. Describe your presentation. What are you talking about when you're talking about fast and effective digital feedback?
So my presentation is kind of a blend behind the pedagogy of how to give constructive yet productive feedback to our students. Some of what I've brought in my presentation is from a book called The Feedback Fix, where we talk about feed forward versus feedback. And so I brought in some of that from that book. I also get into the technology tools as well. Obviously, that's a big portion of it. Google Docs and Google Classroom, using Google Keep, and a little bit of like how to create those fun things that, on paper we can do. We can do stickers and all kinds of different colored markers and the stuff that I think sometimes as teachers we underestimate the value of some of that impact on kids. And so
you give a high school student a gold star or a little sticker on the top of their test and they still go nuts over it.
Right, absolutely. And so being able to do that through digital work. I was about 90% paperless when I was an English teacher. So ways that I found to just continue to encourage students and build upon their current work and make it fun at the same time. So kind of nice blend of pedagogy and technology.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Sounds like I want to show up at your session. The problem is that I've been doing these interviews and I want to show up to everybody's session. Everybody has this unique take on stuff, and it's just, I don't know. This is one of the reasons why I love organizing the conferences, because just to hear what everybody has bringing to the table is so much fun.
And it's not all Google. I think sometimes people are like, oh, I don't use Google Suite in my class or G Suite in my class. And so it's it also talks about how to use voice and video feedback as well. And a couple programs that make those a little bit more accessible for teachers, and the workflow as far as grading speeds that process up.
Okay. Is there a particular non-Google tool you're going to talk about? You don't have to give me, you don't have to give me the whole, give it all away. I know that you want people to show up, but is there a particular one?
One of the newer ones that I really like has to do with giving feedback to students on their videos, and it's called Comment Bubble. And so if you have video presentations being turned in, that's one of the ones that I actually think is pretty cool. The other one is just doing like audio conferencing. I use that a lot of times on my phone. And Kaizena, excuse my dog in the background. Kaizena is the
Your
other
dog
one.
Wants to be at the conference too. Okay, so that gives people a flavor of what you're going to be doing. But who's gonna get the most out of coming to your session? What kind of teacher? What kind of educator?
I think a lot of my examples do lead more towards like feedback in writing and feedback in reading. I guess.
So that's good.
Like
Science, science. We don't ever do that, and math. There's no writing or reading, and history, no writing or reading. So it's only just ELA teachers. Great, good. Next question. No, I'm just kidding.
And I've had a lot. Like I've had math teachers and be like, I'm like, no, but you could totally do this with a math problem, or here's how you could work a Google form to work with a math problem. So I think all contents could definitely benefit from it, even if it is like a writing example. Like if you have digital work of any kind, I think the overall blanketed message is how do we communicate with students and keep them moving forward in their progress. So if you're doing a lot of digital work, I think it would benefit. As far as the age group, there's fun stuff there for elementary as well as secondary. So I think it does kind of spread across. Like one of my presentations I've created that I think spreads across K-12.
Yeah, it sounds like it's something that anybody can get information from to use. It sounds like I said, I want to be there front row center.
I'll share the slides with you.
Yeah.
Same, but...
Right. I have my ways. I'll figure out a way to record it without you knowing about it, and then go from there. So I get that, attending the conference or presenting at the conferences is something that a lot of people, especially people like yourself, like they get energized from going to these things and, and talking to people who are very eager to learn. But the other half of going to a conference is also being a part of, of not presenting and just attending and seeing what other people have to bring and stuff like that. So what do you hope to get from just attending and being at Flip Tech East Coast?
I think I'm always looking for different ways people do things. Even if I like a way that I'm doing something, I like adding tools to that toolbox. Sometimes I'll go to a presentation. Like I went to a presentation on YouTube like earlier this year, and I obviously know a lot about YouTube, but there was a lot of there were just a little bells and whistles that I was like, oh, cool, that's something new. And so I just kind of put it in my toolbox, especially in my role, anything I can take back to give teachers more choices. I like to present them with more than one way that they can do something so they have options, just like we would with students. Honestly, as more choices we can give them, the better. Right. I think that's one thing. And also just collaborating. So, I mean, obviously seeing friends that I digitally talk to and don't get to see in person, but collaborating and coming up with some new ideas. When Kate and I saw each other, we started collaborating about a presentation and some thoughts and ideas on that. It just kind of naturally comes about in conversation.
Yeah, everybody that I've interviewed, and I've interviewed, I don't know, half of the presenters and a couple of keynotes, whatever. Everybody says that the reason why they love coming to conferences, whether it's Flip Tech East Coast or whatever, is they said that the collaboration and the talking to people and, trying to just being with the people that are there, whether they're, learning or expanding or, and so it's fun to hear that sense to grow your PLN, those sorts of things. So, Lindsay, let me ask. So I have to ask your permission before I do this. I'm kind of modeling good digital citizenship. Okay. But I have a off the books question that I would like to ask you, but I don't want to do it if you're not up for it, but it's a sixth
I gotta go with flow, whatever, go for it. I mean, I'll give an honest answer. So.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm hoping for.
Okay.
Everybody's getting a surprise question, and so I'm trying to see what people would say to this. So, if you could go back in time, and so you've been flipped classroom and doing. Were you ever a traditional sort of stand in front of the classroom teacher sort of thing?
I was, because I was a baby when I joined the English department. That's all they taught me to do. Right. And so then I was the odd duck for a long time because I was like, wait a second, I've been doing it all wrong.
I know. Right. And so if you could go back to your Enlightenment days, your pre-flip or it doesn't even have to be flip, but as you realize that what good teaching is different than standing in front of the class. If you could go back and tell yourself or give yourself some advice, what would you tell yourself in order to be an awesome teacher? And I don't know if this is with every content, honestly, but I know it's that way with English, is that content sometimes becomes the priority. And I think I would tell myself that the relationships are the priority over content. And I think I came out of college with that idea, but I think when I got embedded into a department, it was content, and Shakespeare and I was like, and I chose to teach not because I loved English necessarily, because I actually love to teach people things more so than I love English. I was just a good English student. So, right. So I would say that the relationships is the key, because I think that's what I was feeling was lacking when I decided to make the shift in my strategies of teaching, is that I had lost that relationship that I was so good at. And to start with, I'd kind of grown away from that, thinking that content and testing were the priority. Right. That's an awesome answer. I think that probably most everybody that's watching us would probably agree that that's, key to teaching. You can't, what is it? The old phrase, you can't, they don't care what you know until they know that you care.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so.
Well, and I think the other thing would be not to grade everything. I mean, I think even when I talk to teachers now, they're like, well, how do they not rely heavily on you for all that feedback? And I'm like, because I don't correct it all for them. I just lead them to the answer. Like I make it more like a scavenger hunt. So I think that not grading everything, just time management in general, and the power of the verbal face-to-face contact with kids every day, like not in front of a group, but the feedback I'm able to give, or I could totally save my time in grading by sitting next to a kid for 3 minutes and telling him what I would change or her what I would change, Well,
and that all goes back to building that relationship too. If you can have a one-on-one conference with a student and talk, constructively about what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, that's relationship building.
Absolutely.
And you're teaching them more in those 3 minutes probably than you did for the previous week. And so, Lindsay, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and so, again, Lindsay Stephenson is going to be presenting at FlipTech East Coast June 29th and 30th, and the name of her session is Fast and Effective Digital Feedback. Lindsay, we'll see you there.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks.
That's it for this episode of the FlipTech East Coast podcast. We hope that you join us at the conference. Again, for more information or to register, please visit fliptech.fliplearning.org. Again, that website is fliptech.fliplearning.org, and we can't wait to see you there.